get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Monday, everybody. I got a couple of special guests for you guys here today. We're talking about a side of the industry that most people don't think about, right? Until they need it, right? And fleet maintenance, everything else, roadside repair, preventative maintenance, all of that stuff is so vital for you to keep your fleets up and running. You know, my dad, as a lot of you guys know, owned his own trucking company. He was an owner-op for a very long time, and he lived by a saying, if my wheels aren't turning, I ain't earning. And that's one of those things that keeps in mind. You got to keep your fleets up and running. You got to keep your trucks up there especially now, you got to be able to extend that life cycle of that vehicle when you're out there bootstrapping your business up. So I have Kyle and Kevin Coltrain on the show today. Fellas, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join me.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Chris. We appreciate it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, I got exposed to a lot of the roadside mobile tech and all of that a few years ago. And it's one of those things that when you're not actively like running your own company, right? Like maybe when you're a company driver and everything else, you kind of just drop your stuff off for service whenever you're off the road for a couple of days. And, you know, you guys have seemingly, you guys are from that, like your entire family was it your dad that was kind of get you guys started in that?
Yeah, so our grandfather and great uncle, Bob Dickinson and Dick Dickinson, and then our father, Ted Coltrain, and Uncle Mike Dickinson were the founders of Dickinson Fleet Services.
Yeah.
So that was in 1997 that started. And they really started off with 3 domicile shop locations and were the pioneers in mobile maintenance repair, and really recognized, hey, we can help eliminate downtime and maximize fleet uptime, minimize total cost of ownership by taking the garage to a customer and doing preventative maintenance and repairs on site. So we were fortunate. We've been around the business since we were in diapers, essentially, and got to see the evolution of Dickinson and where that landed. And then, saw a need for a new business in the marketplace, given some of the other things transpiring. And that's where Coltrain On-Site started.
So what was it for you? I want to ask more about like what's the dynamic like working with your brother and everything, but like what was that thing, because like I know for me personally, before I went out on my own, I always just had this burning desire that like I could just do it better than everybody else, and I wanted to do it my way. Full transparency, I was a good employee to a point, because like at the end of the day, man, I never enjoyed being told what to do by somebody who wasn't like doing the work with me. Now, if you're going to tell me to go out there and make sales calls and you were in the trenches with me making sales calls, I love that stuff. But like very rarely was I ever in an environment where that was a thing. What was that for you guys? Were you guys just like, man, we got to go out there and do it on our own? What really drove that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't necessarily this want and desire just to do it ourselves, because there's a lot of great people in this industry and a lot of great companies. I think, what we recognized, one thing, this industry, in my opinion, has the greatest, most wholesome people on the planet. When you look at our technicians, our technician managers, our sales leaders, these are incredible individuals with great stories that want to go out, do a good job, come home to their family, and have the security of a company that really loves and cares about them. And when we looked at our industry, including what had transpired with Dickinson, there is a lot of corporate consolidation and private equity getting into play. And that could provide a lot of advantages, but also, some disadvantages. And we recognized that it seemed technician managers, were becoming a number more than a human being. And it just became, grow as quickly as possible, hire anybody that says they can turn a wrench, And we felt the industry is really, really craving right now, one, a family owned and operated business that really puts people over profits, focuses on paced growth. One of our leaders in Louisiana just last week on a team call said we are the special forces of fleet maintenance and repair, in the sense that we're not seeking out anybody and everybody. We want the best of the best. So we know when we're going to service a client, they're getting the highest quality of service possible. And so when we look at the landscape of mobile maintenance today, again, big mega corporations trying to get as big as quickly as they can, we really want to turn that mentality on its head. And again, put the people first, take great care of them, and in turn, they'll take great care of our fleet partners.
Yeah, I like what you said there about building that family-owned company. And like my business partner is my first cousin, best friend, and we wanted to take that route too, especially on like the bootstrapping aspect of things, because you see a lot of VC money being pumped in, especially on the transportation side of things, right? I think we're at an inflection point where you're going to start seeing a lot more consolidation, a lot more M&A activity that comes up. And, for us, we just wanted to go out there and build the best company we could, bootstrapping it up. But like for me, most importantly, like it was important to again, kind of like own myself, right? Like I wanted to go out there and bring the level of customer service that I think every trucking company and shipper out there deserves, not look at it as like, how do I just maximize shareholder value, right? And I'm not here to knock anybody who wants to go publicly traded or anything like that. That was just like, I just look at it as like, I want to go back to that family-owned company that I feel like has kind of gone away in every industry here over the years. When big money comes in, it kind of dilutes it a little bit. And again, I'm a capitalist. I understand why that happens, but like, if my name's associated with something, which with my company it is, I want to deliver just that little bit more of a customer service aspect of things. I want to work with people a little bit more and appreciate it, because as like again, I've bootstrapped everything. I know how important it is to partner with the right vendors, and I've been on the other side of working with the wrong vendors at times, and and it could potentially be detrimental to a lot of businesses out there, and so like. With a lot of that, though, downtime is a massive killer for a lot of fleets that are out there. How are you guys eliminating that? Like, how are you guys working with your customers to really keep their fleets running at as high of a rate as you possibly can?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fleet climate today and how I could go on Amazon right now and buy a package and it'll be at my door in 2 hours. There is more demand to have these trucks running now and always than ever before. And that's the construction industry, the landscaping industry. Really the goal of any fleet manager, number one, is safety. Not just the safety of their drivers, but any drivers that they share the road with, including my wife and kids. I want her to be driving next to a truck that I know is safe and compliant. So safety is paramount in everything that we do. But secondly, I alluded to this earlier, their goal is to maximize uptime, minimize total cost of ownership. And with mobile maintenance, the advantages that we can provide is we are going to that customer, that fleet site during the hours that it's already slotted to be down. So if that fleet's operating 9 to 5 during the work week, our technicians there in the early mornings, late evenings, weekends, doing the service that needs to be done. So those drivers, that fleet manager comes in the next day, his equipment's ready to roll. When you look at the traditional shop model, they're working traditional business hours. So, work weeks, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever the case may be. So, you've got to put a unit down in a garage when that's unit. What was the term you used earlier? Like, if it's not rolling, it's not making money.
Yeah, our wheels ain't turning, we ain't earning.
Exactly. So if that's down in a shop, you are not making money. And then furthermore, you're having to pay a driver, possibly two drivers, to transport that unit to and from a shop location. So tons of costs and inefficiencies with that traditional shop model. So mobile maintenance is really, really helping solve, a lot of those problems for fleets today.
Yeah. So Kevin, what percentage of repairs do you think can be done on site, right? Because I think, I'm not a mechanically inclined person. I'm not even going to try and, fake that for a second. But, you look at like the traditional shop and, that's the way that things have always been done for a lot of repairs. Like what percentage of repairs do you think could be done on site where you guys could meet the driver where they're at?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's, changed a lot over the years. Kyle mentioned him and I got started in this industry from a really young age, and at that point in time, the mobile maintenance industry was simply just oil changes, mud flaps, lights. Today, as the trucks, as the equipment, as the technologies continue to advance, I would say at least 90 to 95% of repairs can be done on site. So our technicians are equipped with state of the art generator and welding systems, AC equipment, engine diagnostic tooling, and all the safety equipment to do higher end repairs. As Kyle mentioned before, in regards to safety, it's not a matter of how much can we do on site; it's how much do we want to do safely on site. So we're not doing anything internal engine on site typically, but everything bolt onto the engine, chassis repairs, doing trailer damage, we can definitely do on site. And so I would say 90 to 95% of repairs we typically can take care of at the customer's location.
Okay. What's the most common, I mean, with that being said, 90 to 95%, like what's the most common mistake that you think fleets are making from a maintenance perspective then that's possibly costing them uptime? Is it the fact that maybe they're not privy to the fact of like mobile maintenance being a thing and they are bringing it to a shop and, there might be a backup at the shop where it's a couple of days and then they're losing potential revenue from that?
Yeah, I would say that, and not wanting to down a unit for simple maintenance repairs because, like you said, taking it to a shop, it loses a day of revenue or a day of that vehicle on the road, and so they will defer that maintenance. Our job and our mission for all of our customers is to help alleviate their downtime as well as their total maintenance cost on their vehicle, and so we want to take care of all routine maintenance repairs on site so they don't have those emergency breakdown events. The most costly thing for a fleet is having these emergency breakdowns on the side of a road, and they have to either transload a vehicle, transload the product on the back of a trailer, or have someone tow a truck or tow a trailer to a different job site. And so our goal is to take care of a lot of these preventative maintenance items at the customer's location before they experience these major catastrophic breakdowns. And part of that too is coaching the drivers and coaching the customers on how they can, have better results for their own internal maintenance. We've talked to customers who are having constant, DPF or regen issues and having these units go into a shutdown because, that DPF filter is clogged. And so we've coached them on, hey, make sure your drivers are getting these vehicles up to temp and so they can regen on their own before you guys have, a breakdown event due to something that can be taken care of in a preventative maintenance type setting.
So, I mean, what's one of those, because you hear about preventative maintenance a lot out there, right? I mean, especially the deeper you get in there, what prevents people from even like looking into this, right? Like, are there any myths that you guys see out there that actually cost them more money?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like I said before, one of the biggest repairs we see today is that after treatment system. It's a very complex system overall, and so those repairs can get more and more costly the longer you kind of put those things off. And so, like I said before, we've done a lot of regens on site for customers versus having to go remove a DPF filter and have it replaced. We want to have those smaller repairs on site versus these larger repairs coming in. And the other thing is just keeping track and helping someone, push to have oil changes and preventive maintenance items done. I think, probably a lot of cars, passenger vehicles on the road today are past due on oil changes. I would say it's the same thing with, your tractors and your heavy duty equipment. A lot of those items just go past due in terms of services and, kind of just get pushed off because they're an afterthought for a lot of our, for a lot of customers out there. Our goal is to educate them on those things and try to push them to go that preventive maintenance route. And in the long term, have them spend less money on their total, maintenance and repair spend.
I would say every fleet's different too in how it's operating. Like we met with a partner last week, and they were doing PMs on a mileage basis, but these units were not running a ton of miles. So they would go to a site and the engine would be running all day. They'd be working out of the truck. So it wasn't running a lot of miles, but it was probably getting 10 to 12 hours a day. So a mileage interval for them, it did not make sense. They needed to move to a time or hours based interval. And they were only touching those units 2 to 3 times a year as far as PMs are concerned. It should probably be closer to 4 to 5. So really having an expert that could come in and sit with you, understand what the demands of your fleet are, and then what is going to make the most sense for us to get in front of some of these larger repairs. The goal for us is that unit's only being touched during its PM cycles, because we're handling everything that needs to be taken care of during the PMs, not these other repairs in between PMs.
So how do you guys develop a PM schedule for, whether it's an owner operator or a fleet? And then are you guys out there, like say it is an owner operator or a small fleet, they might have 2 power units, 4 trailers. Are you guys looking to go out there and service all equipment at the exact same time? Are you guys trying to build up a schedule to where it's like, it's kind of a one-stop thing? Or are you guys breaking it up where it's like, hey, this week we're going to focus on these units, and then the next week we're going to come in to avoid any potential downtime from that?
Yeah, I would say, again, it really depends on that fleet's use case and could vary very drastically based on the nature of the industry that they are in, how they're running that equipment, where they're running that equipment. But like you alluded to, our goal is to sit down with that fleet, whether it's a 3-truck operation or a 1,000-truck operation, and understand what their pain points are, what the demands of their fleet are, what the current PM process is. Are they tracking it on pen and paper, or do they have a robust fleet partner that has it uploaded into a system? And then again, stagger it, have it make sense so you're not downing your entire fleet in 1 week. It makes a lot more sense for us and for that fleet operator to have them on a cycle where it's slightly staggered. And then, go in on the weekend or whatever the case may be when it's scheduled to be down, get the units taken care of. They come in on Monday ready to roll.
Do you think most fleets don't even have a maintenance schedule for a lot of their stuff? Is that something you guys have identified? Or maybe they've always gone, again, I know people are, creatures of habit, right? So it's like they might be using the same, shop 20 miles away or something like that out there. How, what are some of those things that you tell them about that model? Is it like, hey, why are you waiting on somebody else's schedule because to me, it seems like this is more like real-time repairs, right? Like you can get that out, get it scheduled. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like you guys are working with your clients to schedule that maintenance, that PM, while the driver's shut down for like a 34-hour reset or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, correct. So, sorry, I'm getting some feedback on my mic. All right, we're good. Yeah, we do partner with clients to understand what their current maintenance schedule looks like. As far as how our fleet's doing it today, it's a wide spectrum. You'd be surprised. There are some large fleets out there that don't have systems and tools and technology in place, and they're using a spreadsheet. And then there are smaller fleets that have partnered with some great fleet management or technology companies, such as Fleet Rock is a great partner of ours, and they've got really robust tools as far as PM tracking is concerned. So we sit down with them, understand where they're at today. We do have the capability to build PM schedules with our partners and track those on their behalf, which just enables us to be more proactive versus reactive. So as opposed to a customer reaching out to us saying, shoot, I forgot these PM services were due. Can you have a tech out here tomorrow? We're able to reach out to them a month in advance and say, hey, these are the 5 units due next month. When will they be available so we could have a tech on site to get it done? So I think that's the key more than anything, is having systems and processes in place that enable you as a fleet owner to be proactive versus reactive on your maintenance.
What are you guys seeing from the technician front out there? Because, I really don't trust 99% of what I see out there on the internet or the media, and stuff like that. What does the technician field look like right now? Is there still plenty of technicians out there? Is this one of those things where you guys are like, hey, this might be the next frontier in business, right? Because I look at it with, I have a teenager, and I'm trying to tell him, hey, you should look into the trades a little bit more here, because there are seemingly a lot of opportunities that could be coming about that. Are you guys seeing that from your side right now?
Yeah, I would say industry-wide, without question, the technician shortage is a real thing. There are a lot more jobs open for technicians today than there are technicians to fill those jobs. In our seat, we view that as a massive, massive opportunity for us, given the fact that, one, for most fleets, their maintenance and repair division is a cost center, and a lot of their resources might be placed into recruiting drivers and training and retaining the best drivers, or whatever the case may be, where our core focus is the technician, and we don't lease vehicles. We don't have a large vendor network. Our core competency and what we're focused on is, finding, hiring, retaining, and training the best in the industry. And then we go back to, the family owned and operated business. Our goal is to satisfy our technicians, and know in turn they would satisfy our fleet partners, as opposed to some other organizations. You're much more focused on satisfying a boardroom or investors or whatever the case may be. You asked earlier, is it nice not having a boss? Or I'm sure you wanted to get out of working for somebody. And Kevin and I see today we have 50 bosses, because we truly work for our technicians, not them working for us. And there's constant changes to the trucks that we're making, or enhancements to our technology stack. We really believe if we work for them and invest in them, our company should not experience a tech shortage where the industry may be.
Yeah, I look at it, because as a freight broker, we, there's a lot of like back and forth on, oh, hey, we're paying the drivers, they should, do X, Y, and Z. And man, I look at it like I really started looking at this here recently within the last year, is like, man, we're a legitimate hospitality company. We got to make sure our shippers are satisfied with us, but our drivers are satisfied with us as well. And it's like there are direct representation out there on site, right? Like I'm not chaining or tarping the truck or anything like that, but those guys are. I want to set them up for success. And I don't understand the mentality of like putting your brand out there and then knowing that you didn't give somebody all the tools to succeed in every possible way. Is that one of those things where, is that one of those identifiers that you guys saw where you guys are like, hey, we want to set our techs up for the most absolute success that they possibly can, to eliminate any calls to you two, like, hey, why don't we have this on there? We came up to this repair. And that kind of leads into my next question. Like, what was one of those repairs that you guys kind of showed up at? We're like, hey, we might have to relook this a little bit differently. I think like we identified a gap in our game, because I think like that's one of the biggest values in a business are those situations. Like, I don't like problems as much as the next one, but I understand the value and where, like, what we can learn from those situations to better set us up for success in the future.
Yeah, no, I love you referencing it as a hospitality company. That's perfect. And yeah, it's our job to take care of those guys and make sure that they have all the tools necessary to do the job right. And yeah, an inflection point for me, at a prior company, we lost a technician in a market. He was a great mechanic. He was fed up with some things going on, and a mentality from someone else in that organization was, well, it's fine, just go find another tech. And again, these are not widgets, in a factory. These are human beings. And if we lose anybody, what happened? Why did they leave? Why is this not the best place to work? What are they unhappy with? And our goal, and knock on wood, is absolute zero employee turnover. And that comes down to hiring the best, taking them through a very, very intensive interview process, where we're not just doing a phone screening, but we actually get them out in the field, have a truck, make sure they know what they're doing. So hiring the best, and then doing all that we can to retain them. As far as the truck upfits, and I'll let Kevin speak to this, as we were starting this company, that was a massive part of our process, where we actually had a team of a couple of technician managers and several technicians, and they were intimately involved in the entire way our truck was spec'd out and upfitted, and getting their buy-in, not just trying to run it from the ivory tower, has proven to pay massive dividends. So Kevin, I'll let you speak to some of the technology on the truck and some of the repairs that we can do that maybe our competitors can't.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to your point earlier, Chris, was we want to give our tools and our team of technicians the tools to be successful. And Kyle and I did a lot of research, as well as our managers of technicians, to figure out what those best tools are. But at the same time, we have technicians coming on saying, hey, have we tried this yet? Or have we tried that yet? And our goal, is to listen to our team and allow them to make a lot of decisions for what they're going to be doing each and every day. Kyle and I, and even our managers, are not going to have every answer to every question our technicians have, but we are going to listen. And the ones that are doing it out in the field are the best, resource for us to take advice from, to make sure we buy the right tools, we buy the right equipment. Every time we kind of buy a new product, we'll get feedback from 3 or 4 mechanics on, which one to go with. We'll sample out 2 or 3 of them, test them out in the field, and then figure out which one's the best one to go with on all trucks going forward. But to Kyle's point, we've got a very heavy duty welding machine on the back of our trucks, and we can do, basically any welding repair that a shop can do, in the back of our, service truck. And that's something that most service trucks out in the field do not have today. Same thing as goes for reefer work. Reefer refrigeration units are one of the more challenging things for companies to work on out in the field. It's very competitive in the dealer space, but not a ton of, third-party maintenance companies doing those repairs. We do have a company here at Coltrain on site that we are set up to successfully take care of, reefer maintenance items as well as repairs on site. And so we're building a team and continue to build that team of reefer mechanics to take care of a lot of these heavier duty repairs on site.
So, I mean, you guys have been in the game for a very long time. Like you said, your family was in it, grandfather, everything else. How has it changed? And where do you see things going? Right. Because I think obviously tech automation is at the forefront of a lot of discussions that's going on out there. So it's from your guys' perspective, where is the maintenance world at currently? And how is it going to improve, do you think, coming up here in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think where it's changed, when I first started about a decade ago in this industry, mobile maintenance was a very new concept. And when I was sitting down with customers, you talked about making sales calls and banging on doors. I was trying just to sell the concept of, hey, we can come and do a PM on site. We could change oil on site, and folks just didn't seem to understand that. So it was really trying to get them to understand it's safe. Let us show you. I'll do a free PM so you understand how we do it. I believe that consumer behavior has changed quite a bit, where folks recognize the importance of getting mobile maintenance done at their location, and now it's more of a determination on who's the highest quality service provider in the marketplace that's going to do a good job at a fair price. So that's been a big change. I also feel the technician shortage that we referenced earlier. You see a lot of companies that have historically done maintenance themselves internally really starting to shift to either a hybrid model where our techs are working alongside of their technicians because they can't keep up, or even outsourcing entirely, because again, it's not their core business, and it is a challenge to go recruit and train and retain the best in the industry. So, I would say the two biggest that hit for me are kind of the knowledge and understanding of mobile maintenance, and then the willingness to outsource it to a best-in-class service partner.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it from a business growth trajectory as well, right? Like this, because as somebody who's trying to build their company up, where I see a lot of the changes coming from is your ability to pack a larger punch out there in the market. And, you're talking about working with companies, internal mechanics as well, which you guys do, and provide that. I look at it where you can go out there and again, you can have your own shop per se without actually needing the overhead of having your own shop on site while you're building up. And, but with this, and again, it's meeting the business owner and meeting the driver where they're at, as opposed to them taking the time to, take a couple hours or whatever it is out of their day while they're down with their family and everything else. Because as anybody knows who's in this industry, drivers are on their own couple weeks at a time. They're down, they're home for 4 days. I don't know if everybody wants to spend those 4 days wrenching on their truck, right? Where it's you guys can go out there and set that up. And that's where I see the biggest value that comes in with what you guys have compared to what it was when I was growing up and going with my dad to go get his truck service for some of the, because he did the majority of his own work, but there were those things that he had to go out, outsource, and bring his truck to somewhere. And I mean, we were in rural Wisconsin, right? So it was an hour drive into the Twin Cities to go to the nearest international dealership to get his truck worked on.
Yeah, and you're sitting there all day, and things come up. Yeah, you're burning an off day, if you will. Having to sit into a shop. So massive advantages with mobile maintenance.
No, I appreciate it. Kevin, Kyle, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join me today. How does anybody reach out to you guys, though, if you guys are hiring technicians or anybody wants to find out a little bit more about how they could work with you to help maintain their fleets?
Yeah, appreciate that. I'd encourage you to go to our website, coltrainonsite.com, and there you're able to find our direct phone number. There's a contact us page, email address. So feel free to reach out through our website. Kevin and I are both active on LinkedIn, so you could find us there too.
Perfect. Kevin, Kyle, thank you guys so much for joining me. That's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang.